Hi everyone, my name's Sean, and for those of you who did not read my last blog post, which you can see here, I talked a lot about how disruption has kind of put the music industry into a downward spiral, and really what's driving this disruption is the concept of like the consumer wanting to acquire music for very, very low costs or almost free and through a very, very simplified distribution channel. So, like, consumers no longer have to get in their car and drive to a music store to purchase an album. Now you can just have to do a few clicks, and it's on your iPod or phone, and it's that simple. So, one thing that I wanted to clarify from my last blog post is that not every part of the music industry is being or is declining because of disruptive technologies. I feel like one area that's really done well in embracing these new disruptive technologies are streaming services, which I'll get into in a second. But there are other parts of the music industry that are really starting to just kind of like fade out of existence. So to really kind of get a good perspective of where the music industry stands today, I thought I would do a SWOT SWOT analysis, which stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of just kind of the music industry as a whole. So to get into it, we'll start with the strengths, of course. And as I said, I think the streaming services such as like Spotify, Pandora, and those sorts of apps are really doing well. And as you can see here from this article, which was written in March of this year, but it's referring to the streaming music sales of last year. The article says that streaming sales hit 1.87 billion last year, and finally outdid CD revenues, which I'm honestly a little surprised it took that long to outdo CDs. But nevertheless, streaming music is in fact doing well, or at least it's doing well if you are Spotify. I mean, there are a few streaming services that are not doing as well, which kind of brings us into the weaknesses. But we'll start with Beats Music, or Apple Beats Music, and unfortunately, that has not done well since its release, and it is set to end on November of this year. And it's very sad because Apple invested billions upon billions of dollars into this project, and it is just going to be cast aside as if it just never even really happened. The streaming industry is a very, very tough industry if you want to kind of like start one of those services to really break into. I feel like Spotify and Pandora have a really tight grip on the streaming industry as of right now. And Jay-Z actually, for those of you that don't know, started his own streaming services, or he bought a streaming service and kind of made it his own, as you can see here. And it's called Tidal. And so, unfortunately, as you can tell from the title of this article in Bloomberg, that Tidal hasn't exactly been doing well. And in fact, they've lost quite a few of their top executives. Had another article on that, but I don't have it open right now, so I'll try and post that along with all of these links. But essentially, what Jay-Z's Tidal really like tried to emphasize was the artist rights. And one of the biggest complaints right now, one of the biggest weaknesses facing streaming services, is that the royalties and the control of the content isn't exactly in the artist's favor. That's why you see artists like Taylor Swift and Beyonce speaking out against streaming services. And now we can actually add one more to the table in Adele. Adele is not going to be streaming her newest album, which is guaranteed to be a fantastic success in terms of sales. But Spotify and Apple Music and obviously Jay-Z's Tidal are not going to be able to have it. Adele is staying away to to go along with all these protests of artist royalties and not being able to control the content the way they want to. So this is by far the biggest weakness and threat, I guess you could say, for streaming services, even though they are doing very well and have a really tight hold on the profitability of the music industry right now. But as you can see with Apple Music and along with Jay-Z's Tidal, these two are definitely in decline. And you could very easily see Jay-Z's Tidal end up in the same boat as Apple's in just a matter of months, maybe, from the rate and from the articles that I've seen about it. So, what opportunities are kind of really out there right now in terms of the music industry? Obviously, for well, backtracking a bit, I actually skipped over this. Another strength right now of the music industry, I would say, is in fact the music. The music is still very popular, especially amongst the millennial generation, and obviously the strength right now is that through these streaming services, it's very easy for anybody to really acquire and listen to music. So that is a strength that the music industry has really capitalized on as of right now, which kind of gets us more into the whole debate about royalties and some of the opportunities that are out there for those artists that that feel that streaming services don't exactly give out the royalties. And that is, I mentioned it in my article here, but the direct-to-fan platform. And essentially what that is you can essentially post music, your merchandise. You could be pretty much anybody. Anyone can do this. And you can post your music and merchandise to one of these websites, and your fans can log on and purchase the music, purchase your merchandise. And these actually pay a much better royalty, and that was something that Jay-Z's Tidal was supposed to like emphasize, and why a lot of artists originally were attracted to Tidal, and that the royalties that Jay-Z was going to be paying to artists were much nicer than Apple Music and Spotify. So right now, the big complaint with Jay-Z's Tidal is that because they're paying so much for royalties, as a person that wants to have a subscription to Tidal, you have to pay quite a lot of money in order to do that. So that's the reason why the popularity is there for Tidal, and that's the reason why it's kind of suffering now. But with Music Glue, you don't have to pay nearly as much, and the artists are still getting a much higher percentage of royalties than you see anywhere else. Direct-to-fan is still a very, very new concept, so there are not a lot of artists that are really doing this, but this is kind of bypassing the whole record labels, and the record labels stealing some of the profits. So it's very, very possible. This is a huge opportunity out there for artists that want to make a nice profit out of their money with the direct-to-fan platform. So that, I guess, will take us into more of the threats that are facing the music industry today. Obviously, as I said, record labels are being threatened by these direct-to-fan websites, and as I said, streaming services are being threatened by artists who are unhappy with royalties and control of content. And so that also brings us to the threat that record studios face. This is actually an article originally written in 2009. It was updated in 2012. And it's kind of amazing that record studios have been in trouble for this long, actually. And they're just you're starting to see more and more famous record studios. I mentioned it in my article here. There's a very famous studio in Soho in Manhattan that is in danger of being closed down forever. So a lot of studios, because technology, computer-based technology, and programs like GarageBand and any kind of application that allows you to make and edit your own music are really very quality nowadays. As this article says, uh, excuse me, digital technology has gotten a lot better over the past 10 years to the point where you can make an almost professional quality recording on your laptop for a fraction of what you spend in professional studios. That right there pretty much says it all in terms of the threats that are facing recording studios nowadays. They charge way too much for artists to be able to use them on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So why exactly, if you're an artist and you can record just as good a quality sounding uh, album on your laptop, why do you need to go to a record studio and pay uh, 5, 10, 20 times more money than you would just by doing it on your laptop on your own? So essentially, this is where the music industry kind of stands today. So it's not in a complete downward spiral, but it is in terms hurting. And if you read my original article, you can kind of get a sense of how they never really saw like this coming. They haven't adapted extremely well to the changing technologies in our society today. Excuse me. So essentially, we continue to ask ourselves, what is next for the music industry, and how are they going to be able to continue to keep artists happy? So with that, I thank you for listening. I hope you have learned something today about the future of the music industry, or the present and the future of the music industry today. And